Hi, I'm Melanie from Balloon Artworks, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this very pretty ballerina display. For the base I'm using 4 11-inch print balloons. Inflate fully and then downsize to 6.5 inches. Put a twist in the neck. Inflate another one. Cross the necks over one another, wrap around a couple of times and then tie. Just press down a little bit to round off. That's a duplet, make another one of these. Take your 2 duplets and just connect them together to form a cluster of 4. Inflate 4 5-inch rounds to 3.5 inches. So that's approximately 2 strokes of the Qualatex hand pump. Wrap the necks around one another, tie, and make another one of these. Connect your 2 duplets together, just cross them over like that. Take one of the necks from the larger balloons. Place your smaller cluster on top and wrap that neck around the smaller balloons in a figure of 8 motion. Okay, you're going to need a small sand weight or water weight and just pull that through into the cluster and use the neck to connect the water weight or the sand weight. So that's your base. Take a 216, a colour of your choice, and inflate to a tail of about 7 fingers. Okay, give your balloon a bit of a squeeze and make a small bubble of about 2 fingers, and then fold that over to make a pinch twist. So you could just grab hold of the knot and nozzle, pull it over and twist that around several times. Give your balloon a little bit of a squeeze to send the air towards the end of the balloon. And then we want to make a loop of about 3 fingers. Twist. And if you want to, you can take that knot and nozzle and wrap it around just to help secure that in position. And then make another loop to match this one. So give your balloon a bit of a squeeze, measure, take a look. I like to just put 1 twist and then have a look. How are they looking? This could do with being slightly bigger. And then commit to the twist. Okay, wrap those around a few times. So this is what you've got. Give your balloon a bit of a squeeze and make another small bubble to match this one. Okay, and then we're going to pinch twist that. Okay, so bend the balloon over, fold the balloon over, take hold of this bubble here, pull it upwards and twist it around, okay? So twist that around. So that's what you've got, and you want to position the bubbles and the loops so that the pinch twists are pointing upwards and that the loops are horizontal. Okay, so we want to make a smallish body. So make a bubble of about 4 fingers. And then we can begin to make the skirt for our ballerina. So give your balloon a bit of a squeeze and then twist a bubble that is about 4 inches or so, 3 to 4 inches. And then we want to make a bubble that is smaller than this. So make a bubble that is about 1/2 inch smaller. Hold on to this section of your sculpture, because if you let go, these bubbles will come undone. So let's make a bubble that is quite a bit smaller. In fact, that's too small. That's more like it. So somewhere between 1 inch to 1/2 inch smaller. And then wrap those 2 sections together. Okay? And then we want to make another section like this. So a bubble to match this one, and then another bubble to match this one. Give your balloon a bit of a squeeze, measure, twist, and then make another bubble to match this one here, this smaller one. Okay, and then twist everything together. So we've got a couple of sections of the dress here. We can snip this off, whoops, and tie that into a knot. Okay, so you've got the beginnings of the ballerina's dress. I'm using another 260 with a tail of about 4 fingers or so. So measure a bubble that is very close in size to the first one we made, and then make another bubble that is smaller. Okay, and making the bubble smaller is going to give us a curve on this top bubble. So twist those two together and pass the knot and nozzle through the centre of those loops. Okay, squeeze your balloon to soften, make another bubble to match this larger one. Okay, so just measure it round. And don't worry if these bubbles aren't exactly the same size. It's not critical, okay? And then make a smaller bubble. So somewhere between 1/2 inch and 1 inch smaller. Twist the two together. So we've got 2 more sections of the skirt. Give your balloon a little squeeze, and then we want to make another larger bubble. That's a little bit too large, better. And then a smaller bubble. Okay, squeeze, wrap these together, wrap all the loops around one another, and then you can snip off the end here and tie that into a knot. Okay, we can trim off the excess here and take the 2 sections and just wrap them together. Okay, so let's arrange everything. So we want the larger bubbles on the top and the smaller ones on the bottom. Okay, so the skirt is angled down slightly. Take another 260 and we need to make 1 more section like this. So twist off a bubble, a large bubble to match the top one, and then twist off a smaller bubble, wrap the 2 together, wrap around, pass the knot and nozzle through, and then we can break this off and tie these 2 bits together. We can trim off the excess. And then we can attach this section into the cluster here. And then we can arrange the skirt. Take a quick link and inflate to 4 inches. So that's about 3 strokes of the Qualatex hand pump, and then tie. And then we can connect this to the pinch twist here. So just pull down and wrap around. Okay. So that's what you've got at the moment. I'm using a Mocha 260 and I'm just going to wrap that knot and nozzle into the pinch twist at the neck here. So just wrap that around a couple of times then give your balloon a squeeze and a stretch to soften. And we're going to bring the 260 up to the top here, and then we're going to make a pinch twist. So squeeze a bubble, make another bubble of a couple of fingers, 2 to 3 fingers. So fold the balloons over, grasp hold of this bubble, pull it upwards and twist it around, and that's going to pinch twist that there. Okay, next you can take hold of the tip of the quick link. So just pinch hold of it at the point here and run your fingers along, and that's going to take the air out of that tip, and then just wrap that tip into the pinch twist and wrap it around a few times. Okay, so this is what you've got. Give your Mocha Brown a bit of a squeeze, and we want to bring that 260 down towards the neck, and we want to twist off a bubble here. So a bubble that is about the same size. If you don't twist off a bubble that is the same size as this one, then the head will go over to one side. Okay, so twist off a bubble and then wrap that into the neck area. Okay, and then we can go back up. Okay, so back up here, twist into the pinch twist here, wrap that around, back down, everything a bit of a squeeze and a stretch, back down, twist the bubble here, and wrap into the shoulders or into the pinch twist, whichever you prefer. Okay, now I'm fully inflated here. I can stretch out a little bit, but I can also snip off the end, just let some of the air out. Okay, put a twist here, and I'm going to just make a section that is big enough to go up one more time. So just let the air out a little bit, and then tie. Okay, I can bring this back up here and wrap the tip into that pinch twist at the top. Okay, so that's what we've got here. Next, I'm using a 160 with a long tail of about 7 fingers, and I've got quite a long stretchy bit here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pass that stretchy bit just underneath this first section of hair here, and then wrap that little tail into the shoulder there, wrap it around, and then I'm going to twist off a bubble here, wrap that around that top pinch twist, bring this back down and twist off another section here. Okay, and then I can snip off the end here, let that down, tie, and then again just pass that underneath that first section of hair there, and again wrap that tail into the shoulders and into the neck area. Okay, and then we can just snip off the end. So that's what you've got so far. Inflate a 5-inch round with just one stroke of the hand pump. So this is about 3 inches. Round it off, twist close to wave inflated here, and tie so that you've got a nice long neck here, okay? So just massage this to bring out the shine. And then at the back here, you just want to pass that neck through here and very loosely pull that into this pinch twist here. So pass that neck underneath one of the loops of hair, okay, and then pull it upwards and wrap into that pinch twist at the top, okay? And then you can just maneuver that bun into position. Take a 160 and wrap that around the bun. So it just encircles, make a twist, and then pass that knot and nozzle around a couple of times, and then you can snip off the end or break off the end and tie. And I like to tie 2 knots when I do this particular technique, okay? And then we can trim off the nozzle and the excess at the back here. There's an optional detail you can add to the hair if you wish to. I'm using 3 260s and I've got my pocket pump here, so I just want to put a puff of air. So some people do this just by putting a puff in by mouth. It's not something I like to do. I prefer to use the pocket pump, okay? Oops, I don't want to actually inflate it. Just puff inflate and then tie, and do that with all 3. Okay, and then just tie the nozzle ends together for all 3. Third one's a little bit tricky. Okay, so that's what you've got. So we're going to plait these. So as you would if you were making any kind of braid, just pass those over one another. 3 strand plait, okay? So just keep going until you run out of balloon. So the star is always the most difficult part of plaiting. Okay, and then when you get to this end, you can just twist them off and then you can tie them all together. Pull that tightly. And you'll see that the plait is quite uneven, so it's quite tight here and it's quite loose here. So you'll find that if you do this, it evens it out quite a bit. Okay, you get a much more even braid. So take your braid and just position it over the top of this bun here, and then we can use the tails here and just tie them and connect them to the nozzle of one of the balloons. So just tie them on. Okay. And then we can trim off all the ends. And we can just tuck that section there underneath. Okay, so you've got the braid just sitting on top of the headband. So before this sculpture gets any bigger, I like to draw the face at this point. So I'm taking a brown fine point Sharpie and I'm just going to draw 2 brown ovals. So So I'm right-handed, so I start on the left side first, so that when I move over to this side, I'm not going to smudge this side too much whilst that ink is drying. So try and get something approximating the other one. Once the brown has dried, you can take a black Sharpie and draw a circle within, over the top of the brown. Okay, I do the same thing on the other side. I then like to draw eyelashes, so I just go over the top of the brown and then make a couple of kitten flakes to the side. I'm going to take my brown again whilst this is drying, and I'm just going to do a little flick for the eyebrow. So I draw a little circle first, and then I just flick outwards. Inevitably one side comes out better than the other. It's always the way. And then with an Edding 750 paint pen, just making sure this is dry, I'm going to put a couple of white highlights in each eye on the black part. And then I'm just going to take the white paint pen and go underneath the eye. Whilst that's drying, I've got a gold metallic Sharpie, and I'm just going to put some little gold flecks in the brown part of the eye. It's very subtle. Now that the white underneath the eye has dried, I'm just going to take my black fine point and just go underneath the white just to outline that a little bit. Just do a little flick for the nose, and then I've got this nice pink for the mouth. So I just draw a line, and then I do two little bumps on top of the line. Fill those in, and then just come down slightly below that line. I'm using a 160, and I'm just going to make a small bubble of about 2 fingers, followed by a very small loop of just a couple of fingers. Make a twist, just twist that round. Okay, and then you can take hold of this knot and nozzle and just pull it upwards, bend it over, fold it over, and then take hold of this little bubble and just twist it around, and that's going to pinch twist that, okay? So we can give everything a bit of a squeeze just to soften, and then take your ballerina. We want to decide how long we want her arms to be. So I don't want them to be too long. So perhaps about 4 fingers. Let me just check again. Yes, I'm happy with that. And then just pull that twist that you made in and around the shoulder. Okay. And then we can take the 160 over to the other side. And then we just reverse what we did on this side. So we want a bubble of about 4 fingers. And then this time we'll make a small bubble of about 3 fingers, which will bend over, pull that upwards and twist around. Okay. And then squeeze everything and make a very small loop of of about 2 fingers and twist. I'm just going to check it's about the same size as the other hand. Wrap that around the pinch twist. Okay, and then we can break this off. We don't need that. We can tie this into a knot and trim off any excess. Okay, so that's what you've got at the moment. For the leg, you're going to need a 260, and you're going to need a long stretchy bit at the nozzle end, okay? This is inflated to about 4 fingers, but we're not going to use all of it, so don't worry too much about that. And take a pink 260 and tie that here onto this long tail here. Okay, so that's what you've got. Okay, so twist off 2 small bubbles of about 3 fingers. So just twist the 2 together. Okay, and then give this balloon a squeeze and make a small bubble of about 2 fingers, and then we're going to pinch twist this. So just pull that upwards, twist it around, okay? So that's what you've got. And then we're going to squeeze the balloon again, make another small bubble of about 2 fingers, twist that again, pinch twist, okay? So position the pinch twists so they're on either side of this little foot, and bring the pink balloon down and then squeeze the pink balloon, and you want to use that pink balloon to encircle the foot, okay? But this section needs to be very, very soft, okay? So make sure it's nice and soft. Okay, so you've got your little foot, you've got the back of your ballet shoe, you've got the 2 pinch twists either side of the foot. This next section needs to be very, very soft. So squeeze everything and then pass the pink balloon over the top of the foot and twist into the back here. So just twist everything together. Okay. We can break off this next section and tie. Okay, and then you can just wrap the excess around those pinch twists. Okay, so you've got this long section here, and you're going to need to make another one of these. Okay, so we've got our 2 legs, and now I'm going to show you how to do the ribbons on the ballet shoes. And personally, I find this the hardest part of the whole design, so let's see how it goes. You're going to need 2 260s and snip off the nozzles, okay? And you're also going to need some glue dots or some U-glue dashes. So take your nozzle and wrap that into those pinch twists. And do the same thing with the other 260. You want to position your laces so that they are coming out from the back of the pinch twist as best you can, because what we want to do is cross them over one another here. Okay, so it's tricky to do and demonstrate, so please bear with me. Okie dokie, I'm gonna move everything back. Okay, so we've kind of got and you need to keep the 260s flat, okay? So they need to come from the back a little bit and come round. Okay, and then cross them over. I'm just going to compare and adjust. So I need mine to cross over much lower here. Whoops, they've moved. And that's the trouble with these things. They do move whilst you're doing this. Okay, that's too high. So I just need to come a little bit lower and adjust. Still a bit high. Okay, so I'm going to go with that. And keep smoothing everything flat and bring these round to the back. Okay, I'm just going to check against my others because I want them to come up to a similar point on the leg. Okay, so I've kind of crossed these over here, and then I'm going to take this round to here, wrap everything round. Okay, and then hold on to everything. I'm going to check my other one again. Okay, they're really not very similar, so I'm just going to adjust, but you get the idea of what I'm doing. And actually getting a matching pair is really very tricky. So they're going up to about that point, wrapping round. Okay. And then I'm going to bring these round, one of these round the front. Okay, so I've wrapped them round the back like this. I'm going to bring one round the front, okay, and round to the back. Okay, just going to check what I've got here. And then this is where we can deploy our glue dashes. So just at the back here, I'm just going to move these and I'm going to put the U-glue dash just here. Okay, can you see that? And now we've done that, we can stick this end here. And I'm going to put another glue dash on top. And secure that. Okie dokie. So that's what we've got. And that's what we've got at the back. Whoops. We'll just hold that in position until it sticks. And then this end we can trim off. We can trim that section off now. Okay, so that's what you've got. Next, take another pink 260 and snip off the tip end and snip off the nozzle end. Okay, so you've got an uninflated 260, and with this we're just going to make a ribbon. So tie a bow in the way that you normally would. So make a loop, wrap that around, and then pass the other end just underneath this part here. Okay, so this is just tying a bow just in the normal way. So however you tie a bow, just do that. Okay, so we've got something that is very uneven, which always happens with my bows, and I'm just going to straighten everything out a little bit. I want to pull it tight, and then I want to just shorten the loops a little bit. Okay, and then just tidy up these ends here. So I like to just snip them to a point. Okay, so you've got your little bow. So just stick your glue dash. I've actually cut a glue dash in half here. Stick that to the back. And remove the backing. And then just stick that to the front. Okay, so that's what we can now attach our ballerina's legs, and we can decide how long we want the legs to be. So I'm going to twist off a bubble that's about between 4 and 5 inches. Okay, and then you can snip off the end and tie a knot. Okay, and then we can make the other leg the same size, and then just use this bit of excess to attach the legs to your ballerina's dress. Okay, so just pull the leg into the dress and wrap that bit of excess around quite a few times. Okay, and then trim off the excess. And attach the second leg in exactly the same way. So that's what you've got at the moment. She's ready to attach to the base. I've got a 160 in lime green, and I've got this uninflated section here at the beginning of the balloon at the nozzle end. Okay, so make a small loop of just a couple of fingers, very small loop, and twist. Okay. Hold on to that and make another small loop, same sort of size, and twist. And then take that neck and nozzle, wrap it around a few times, and then make another small loop that is very close in size to the first two. So a couple of fingers or so, and then wrap these around. Okie dokie. And then we want a stem of about a hand span, so maybe 4 inches or so. Okay, and then we can snip off the end and tie the knot. Okay, for the time being, I'm not going to trim off the end here because this may come in useful. It may be handy to help connect to the display. We're going to see. If we don't need it, then we can trim it off later, but it's always useful to give ourselves options. Then take a 160 in pink, make sure it's nice and soft, and just wrap the knot and nozzle into those little loop twists there. And then make a bubble that is about 4 fingers or so, followed by a bubble of about 2 fingers. Fold the balloon over, pull this bubble upwards and twist it round a few times, and then make another bubble, very similar size to this first bubble here. We're going to pinch twist this one. So pull that up, twist it around. Okay, give your balloon a squeeze to make sure it's nice and soft. Then make another bubble of about 4 fingers to match this one, and pull that into those flower petal loops. So that's what you've got. Give everything a squeeze and a stretch to make sure this bit is really nice and soft. Okay, so just hold your balloon up this way, and we're going to wrap it around these 2 pinch twists. So we're just going to encircle the pinch twists like that, as though they've got a little collar. Bring this down and wrap into those flower petal loops at the back. And then we can break this off. And you can, in fact, just let out a little bit of air, tie, and you should be able to get another flower out of this 160, or even maybe your bow. You can just tie this little bit into a knot and wrap the excess around. Okay, and what you can with these little pinch twists here, you can just push them up a little bit into the neck there. So that just gives a little more interesting shaping to your flower there. And make however many of these you want. I'm going to make another 2. I'm going to take an uninflated 160 and just run my fingers along the 160 to take the air out. So I've just got this nice flat strap, okay? And I'm just going to arrange my flowers with the tallest ones at the back. Okay, and I'm just going to use this 160 to tie these together and hold them in position. Okay, because I would normally use my little piece of 160 to create a bow that wraps around here, but we haven't really got the room on this sculpture for this to go around the back. That would make this quite bulky. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that as it is, and then so we just want to make a small bow, so I'm just going to trim off the end there and then make a small bubble of about 4 fingers, followed by a small bubble of a couple of fingers. We're going to pinch twist this, pull it upwards, twist it around. Okay, give everything a squeeze and a stretch, and then I'm going to make a small loop of about 3 fingers, wrap everything around, make another small loop of about 3 fingers. Let's just measure, twist those loops around. Okay, and then I want to make a small bubble to match this one, so we'll just measure, get approximately the same size. Whoops, that's come undone. Let's do that again. To get approximately the same size, and then we can snip off the end, tie a knot. Okay, and I'm just going to trim off the end here. Okay, so we've got our little bow, and then what we can do here is just take one of the loops and just take that little strap there and pass that little strap just over our loops, and that's just going to secure that little bow in position. Okay, so this is now ready to be added to our sculpture. We're going to use this section here to attach our ballerina to the base. So just pull into the base, through, and wrap that around a few times. Okay. So don't worry about the positioning of her other leg just yet, but you will see that she is not stable. So she does need her bouquet. This is how we ensure that our ballerina stays upright. This is part of the support structure, if you like, for our ballerina. I'm going to use one of these tails to attach the bouquet to the base, but I need to support the ballerina at the same time. So just pull that into the base, wrap around a few times, and then just let go. Okay? So now we need to decide just whereabouts this bouquet is going to go. So I usually like to have this off to one side, and then I like to connect part of her dress to the flowers. I'm going to take a section of 260 and just wrap that into the dress here, and then I'm going to pull that into the base of the flower head here and just wrap that around. Okay, and that's just going to help hold up our ballerina. And I'm going to use this tail from the bouquet as well to add some stability. So just pull that in and wrap around. Okay, and that should be firming things up quite nicely. And I'm going to add another bit of 260 just to the front here. And I'm going to attach that to this flower here. So I'm just going to wrap that underneath and around the pinch twists. So just pull that underneath there and pull that around the pinch twists. And then we can snip that off. And then a couple of final touches. I like to add some blusher. Which I apply just in a circular motion. And I have some pieces of tulle. Little pieces of tulle, which I just like to pressure fit into the dress. So you can just work your way around, adding the tulle to the dress. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed making this ballerina, and I'll see you again very soon.